Politics was the way to go. I was one of the first people to vote when they amended the Constitution in 1972. I voted at 18, haven't missed an election since. As I'm Muslim, I love helping people and I like public service.
Great. What is your current profession? Now, you said you were an adjunct professor at...
I teach at Baker College. Now I'm Director of Targeted Special Projects for the city. The mayor has something he wants me to do, I research it and I just get it done.
Now, as your time, again, we talked about your resume,
yes.
Your time doing city council, being the ombudsman, what initiatives have you done? What would you like the people to know that you've done in those offices?
Well, number one, when I first ran for city council, I got Ashbury Heights torn down. It was a dilapidated housing structure on the corner of East Graceline and Saginaw Street, drugs and teenage prostitution. Now if you look up there, you have Rosewood Development, one of the major developments in the northwest quadrant of Flint in 40 years. I put together and helped supervise the 65 project stimulus package. It's $55 million that we sent to Governor Granholm and Kildee. Within the last 150 days, I flew to Washington, D.C. on a fly-in with the manufacturing mayors of America. We lobbied successfully for GM, Ford, and Chrysler for GM to get $13.4 million, Chrysler to get $4 million, GMAC to get $6 billion. GM got $13 billion, Chrysler got $4 billion, GMAC got $6 billion, and Chrysler Financial got $1.5 billion. Those are the type of things that I've done within the last 150 days, and those are the things I'd like to continue to do. And even when I flew in with the manufacturing mayors of America, not just of Michigan, but of America, we had to advocate for GM, Ford, and Chrysler on Meet the Press and Face the Nation. And my assignment was on C-SPAN, the Washington Journal Live, where I took questions from across the nation. And I not only talked about saving GM, Ford, and Chrysler, I lifted up Flint.
Okay, well, you have been the deputy mayor.
Yes.
With your resignation, excuse me, of Don Williamson, you have probably come to know Mike Brown. How do you think he's done in this short time? I
don't really work directly with Mike Brown on a daily basis. I know he's surrounded himself with competent people. They seem to be moving in the right direction. I'm not in a position to assess his governmental capabilities because I don't watch his work every day. So I'm in a different area of the City Hall complex. I'm not in what I would call mayor's role.
Okay. Now, we all know that you have been stigmatized as being affiliated with Don Williamson. How do you plan to put yourself away from that?
It's not really a stigma. I've worked for every mayor in Flint since 1980, from Jim Rutherford to Don Williamson. Don Williamson did some very good things with roads and streets. His management style is something that I wouldn't emulate. But as far as shovel-ready projects with streets and bridges and sidewalks, he did a great job. I've watched other mayors and they put up all the world and things happen. But it's not, I wouldn't consider it a stigma, being stigmatized. That's just words that individuals may use who don't really know how to assess what a city administrator does. A city administrator only recommends, just like a pastor in church has a church administrator. I can recommend to my pastor what to do, but it's the pastor who makes the final decision. I made the recommendation to, I was appointed December of 2007, and February of 2008, I made a recommendation to the mayor on how we could get out of the budget crisis we were in. He chose to go a different direction. I also recommended to him that we settle the sewer complaints for under $6 million, but he chose to go in another direction. If that isn't separating yourself and being independent, I don't know what is.
Now, let's talk about this deficit. Mike Brown has stated that there could possibly be a $14 million deficit going into $30 million with all of these lawsuits. If you are elected, would you be willing to, on this show, to say what you would not be willing to cut? Because there was going to be some difficult decisions to be made. I know you know that, but...
See, when you understand the deficit, the state gives you 5 years to get out of it. Okay. So you don't have to pay it off in 1 year or they repossess City Hall.
I see.
Okay. And as far as the lawsuits, the sewer judgment, that money was taken out of the sewer account and put in an escrow account, so you can't use that $12.6 million as part of the deficit. And there was a $1.6 million lawsuit we won last week, so you take that from it. So $30 million, I don't think so. You do the math.
Do you agree that there are going to be some difficult decisions to make with the budget and the projected deficit?
Anytime that you have a deficit, you have to make choices regarding the priorities that you would implement regarding city services for people. Whenever you take a person's job or lay them off, that's a difficult choice. But those choices have to be made.
Now, crime. You know, we all know that we are not necessarily feeling as safe in this city as we once did before.
Yes.
We know there are layoffs, police and fire. Against this lingering budget deficit, you know, what are you going to do to make us safer?
Number one, at one point we had 52 sworn police officers in the police station that didn't go on the street. You make organizational changes and you put officers on the street. And you have police reductions, but not from people on the street. You target high crime areas with specific units. You put them out there. You use technology. You use cameras. And one other thing you must do, you must involve the citizenry and the public. For policing to be effective, you need the people on your side. Remember I said 52 people in offices you put on the street. You target the high crime areas and you put police on the streets when the crimes are occurring. And that's how you reduce crime. It's not rocket science. It's very practical. You just have to do it. And you have to use and implement the ideas of the crime watches and the people that live in the area. They know where the dope dealers live. The police chief doesn't necessarily know.
I agree. Now, let's switch gears a little bit. Current economy. We've been in a state of disarray in the city for quite some time. But if your administration is elected, what do you guys project to do for job creation, and what industries would you invest or spend your time in?
Number one, Obama says buy American, Governor Granholm says buy Michigan. I said give contracts to Flint firms and we hire Flint people. And that's what you have to do. And you have to use as much stimulus money as you can to generate jobs, and you must use it very, very efficiently. For example, Michigan's getting approximately $7 billion in stimulus money. Anyone knows who reads any literature on stimulus knows that for every $1 billion you spend, that creates 28,000 jobs. So if the jobs are dealing with infrastructure, so every billion that's spent on infrastructure, we better be fighting tooth and nail to get those infrastructure projects in the city of Flint. Like the Hamilton Dam, like streets, like our water treatment facility. Those are the things that you want to do. 1 billion, 28,000 jobs. They already predict through the governor's office that we'll increase 120,000 jobs. I want a lot of them to come to Flint.
Now, as far as education goes within the city, we know that the Flint board is facing some very difficult times.
Yes.
If you're elected, what do you prepare in your administration to do to maybe collaborate with them and to help them as far as education goes in the city?
I'm an educator. I'll make myself available to them any chance that I can get. I've taught extensively in the Flint school system, in the Beecher school system, in Flushing, and I teach at Baker's. I've taught at the charter schools. Education is primary for us staying on the economic level. With any gains we make to sustain them, we must raise the educational level of those who are younger than you and I.
Now, there's been a buzz also at City Hall about the county and the city possibly collaborating. How do you feel about that?
See, here we go again. There's a difference between collaboration and a county exec. Collaboration means that we go with the county to buy cement in bulk. We go with the county to get Xerox warranties in bulk. We go to buy shovels in bulk, to buy cruisers. Collaboration doesn't mean the city giving up its autonomy and us going into a county exec form of government. And those are the things that shows like this need to keep clarifying for the public. Collaboration means saving money and being efficient, not giving up your autonomy. Flint will always, under my administration, Flint will be an autonomous governmental entity.
And certainly that's why you're here to